Hi, and welcome to the Plastek Academy. I'm Dennis Preshak, President and CEO of the Plastek Group. Thank you for joining us here today for another segment of our monthly webinar series. As Thanksgiving approaches, we all need to take the time to reflect on all we must be thankful for, especially during this unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic. To be working through all of this and having this webinar today is a blessing itself. We at Plastek wish all of you a happy and safe Thanksgiving. As we've said before, when our customers work with Plastek, they don't get just a molder that molds parts. They get a partner in their complete package design process that includes industrial design, product design, mold design and building, molding, value-added assembly, and where desired, decorating. They also get a high-quality partner connected to some of the greatest companies in our industry that will keep you and your company on the leading edge. Another such company is Milacron injection molding machines. Milacron has been a key Plastek supplier for many, many years, going back to our first order in 1989. Their machines have provided great productivity, and their service on the occasion it's needed is very robust and attentive. They stay ahead of the game in technology and introduce new features that continue to push the limits, help reduce energy consumption, and provide more value for our investment. Some of their newest offerings include data acquisition, predictive analytics, and machine optimization. As we all set out to perform to the best of our abilities, it's important to have information and feedback to act upon, and having the ability to collect this feedback in a timely, efficient, and resourceful manner is something we all need. Today, I want to introduce you to Eddie Jump, Digital Analytics Leader, who will present proven M-powered applications that provide real-world results. To everyone watching, good luck and happy learning.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today in today's webinar. My name is Lacey Wise, and I'm the Communications Manager at Milacron, and assisting and moderating today alongside Nicole Freeman, the Corporate Marketing Manager at Plastek. For those unfamiliar, Milacron is a global leader in the manufacturing, distributing, and servicing of highly engineered equipment within the plastics technology and processing industry. Milacron offers global solutions that include injection molding and extrusion equipment, plus a wide variety of auxiliary technologies and breakthrough IIoT applications. Our presenter today is Edward Jump, Milacron's empowered IIoT digital analytics leader. Eddie is one of many behind Milacron and EI3's development of industry-leading IIoT applications that assist customers with turning data into realizable productivity improvements. Since joining Milacron in 2012, Eddie has worked in multiple areas, including engineering, process improvement, product development, as well as technical service by troubleshooting operations and systems. He also helped to develop a pending patent involving injection machine IIoT applications and machine technologies. Also on the call today, we have Dan Lobach, who works as a Director of Business Development for our IIoT partner, EI3. Dan is a former Milacron employee and brings 20+ years of experience in industrial operations, data science, and business development. Together, EI3 and Milacron are building this platform to uniquely solve complex problems in plastics processing through data science. Eddie?
All right, thank you, Lacey. The great introduction. Let me just make sure I can flop over to the beginning slide here. So first, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us. Also, thank you to Plastek, a great partner of ours. We're very excited. We were very excited when we got the invite for the Plastek Academy, and couldn't be happier that we're on here now and get to talk to some of their customers and some of their partners. So as Lacey mentioned, and as Dennis mentioned in his intro video, today we're going to be introducing Empowered, which is Milacron's IoT suite. So before we jump into some of the things we do and how we relate and touch our customers, we wanted to give a little bit of a background as to what Empowered is. So Empowered is a suite that Milacron has created to back out of the traditional 4.0 IIoT conversations. We really wanted to help our customers and our partners understand how we're partnering with them. We do that through various applications. So with our partner EI3, which you'll hear me mention several times, and why we've invited our panelist Dan Lilback to join us. We've co-created a lot of applications that help meet our customers' needs. So again, one of the reasons we broke away is because as we grew and started to create this path, which we have on the screen here for our customers, we realized that a lot of the plastics market has various solutions that don't necessarily meet everyone's needs, but some that are in common, but it really can be dependent on the business. So it's really important to work with our customers and define what are the keys to success. Is it labor? Is it something to do with processing on the machines? Is it applications? We really work with our customers at that deep level to understand what are the problems they're facing, and really pick people that are specific to using the tools. So this is a toolkit that we put in our customers' hands so that they can become more productive, prevent downtimes altogether, which we'll talk about each of those areas. But it's a tool that we really work with those champions to put in their tool belt, make sure they're using it, and we do that in various ways. Our platform is also machine agnostic, so we do not look at this as just a Milacron platform. Our customers are often diverse. They often have many suppliers for various reasons. So some things that meet their needs, and we really want a platform that can help them across all of those products. So we really have a team that works well with our customers to assess that equipment base, figure out what we need to connect, and with our partner EI3, and we'll talk about a little bit on the next slide, come up with unique custom solutions to connect not just the Milacrons, but additional components. From there, it's important that we continually assess and evaluate what we're doing. So we have special things like dashboards, push notifications, different things that we do with IT teams, with our customers, so that we're actually making sure they're getting tangible benefit from what they're putting into the system. And then on the backside, and the most important piece for this presentation, what we're going to talk about today, is how we leverage that to benefit all of our partners. So we're building a solution that we think is going to be how we service our customers and how we become a better partner in the future. So how do we leverage all of that and push that to all of our partners? So our next slide here, we wanted to give you a little bit of a background on how we do it. So it's really important to understand what it is, but most people start asking questions. Well, how do you talk to the machines? How do you deliver that information? And it's really through our unique approach of devices and our interfaces. So our devices, we've got things like the Amphion and the Symphony that we've partnered with EI3 with, that allow us to, in real time, not just look at machine data, process machine data, but change it on the fly. So as needs and things advance for the customer, we have the ability to alter those devices directly from our plant and become smarter about how we service the customer. From there, we have a industry-leading secure platform that we collect all this information and we anonymize it so that our customers are safe, secure, and protected. And we study that information and we really figure out how can we push these things back to the machines in an efficient manner. Oh, sorry, somebody must have hit a button there. Jump back a screen. How do we do these things in an efficient manner so that we are able to push those back to the other machines in that global network? And then I'll talk a little bit. I've got a dashboard there that's some of the ways we push that information to the customers, but I'll talk a little bit about that in greater detail in some of the later slides. But we just wanted to show you some of the visualizations that we create. All right, so before we jump into what exactly it is that we deliver and some use cases, what I want to do is say at a high level, where are we going to come from, and what is going to set the stage for what we're going to talk about. And the term that we've coined and that we really love and that we use more internally than we even do with our customers is plastonomics. So making sure that we're focusing on the economics of molding for our customers, because I think everybody here understands when we say safety, quality, delivery, and cost, and even sustainability, what that means. But us being able to keep that in mind and making good economic decisions through the data to improve each of those metrics, and not just improve them, but do it in an economically sustainable way, is very important for our customers and our partners. So before we jump into each of these categories and discuss how we help with our applications, I'm going to turn it over to Lacey real quick for a quick poll.
Yes, we've come to our first poll question. So as Eddie said, there are several benefits that can be realized through Plastonomics. So we would like to know what benefit of Plastonomics is most important to you and your company. Here are some of the options. Please take a moment to click your choice and we'll show the results momentarily. Alrighty, let's close this and I'm going to share the results. It looks like, Eddie, we have over a third of our audience speaking to quality, and then the second was cost, and the third highest is safety.
Oh, this is great, and I appreciate everyone's feedback, and I will try to spend a good amount of time on the ones that I know are most relatable to this audience. So we appreciate the feedback. Thanks, Lacey. All right, so first we're going to start with safety. And with safety, there's a lot of things that we can bring into the space with our platform and with these devices. So when we first started the system, really what we wanted to do was find a way to connect our technicians with our customers quickly. So it's very important for our customers and for even their end customers that our machines are always running. So with that, our platform allows us to safely and securely connect back to our customers' assets. So it's a fantastic tool for fixing issues remotely. We can actually, we find in 2 and 5 of our issues we can fix completely. And the ones where we can't, we're sending technicians into the facility with the correct tools, the correct information, correct parts if necessary to fix that problem and reduce the downtime. The way that we're basically moving into the 21st century, and especially with things like COVID in mind, is how do we take advantage of tools like this so that we can not only do that for Milacron, but can also do that for our partners. So we're expanding this toolkit continuously so that even our customers can get access to screens remotely from their desks. So in a world, if we have a second resurgence, and we're not to the point yet where there's a big cure out there, and we need to make sure our people are safe and they can still get out and make components. We like to make sure that if you need to operate with 20 people on the floor versus the 40 or 60 that you're used to being able to do that, you've got those same tools sitting at your desktop as if you were standing there by the machine. So not only can we connect, but you can grab the information, the real-time process information, as well as seeing screens and guiding. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the ways we're also grabbing that data so that we can take some of that legwork out altogether and pushing things to our customers here in some of the later slides. All right, so this seemed to be the highest on the feedback scale. So we appreciate, again, the feedback, and that allows me to even dig a little deeper and spend more time on this slide and discuss how we are helping on the quality initiatives of some of our customers. So we mentioned a little bit about how we're collecting the data. So our devices allow us to advance and learn and grow with our customers in real time. So if we're not grabbing the right things, if we're not detecting the right things, it's really important to have a system in place that can not only grab that information, but change that information on the fly. If you're not pulling it at the right frequency, if you're not getting the right pieces of information, you're not going to have the right answer when it's all said and done. So our platform, we try to keep that flexibility in mind. And then with that, we've got our, again, private cloud interface that allows us to interact with the data in so many different ways. So one of the things that we've learned as we work with customers that have large scale operations, so when you start talking about 40 or 50 more machines, it's very difficult to manage process control. There are great tools within our machines that allow us to see how they're performing when you're standing there walking around, and you have a big workforce that can do that on a daily basis. But seeing the changes that are occurring and then combining that with quality feedback in the cloud, we have found actually helps customers improve quality from day one. So being able to take your process control and that group of 20 people that it may take to do it, and having those same people sit behind, make sure that as even molds are getting loaded from machine to machine and different machines are required to make the same component, that you're able to effectively keep that process under control. From there, we have also started to, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, and we'll talk about in more detail here as we go forward, we've started to develop predictive algorithms, and that's not as important on the quality side for determining their use and how they'll keep the machine up. But what is important is that these algorithms can also help us detect when the machine is starting to vary because of resin or because of other issues and not just the component itself. So we've learned that we can tell customers an assumed quality of the machine just by looking at the health of a screw tip, for example. So we've got several tools that are allowing customers to understand on a deeper level that quality and maintaining it. And it's actually one of the use cases that we're going to talk about a little later here in the slides. And then lastly, and definitely, certainly not least, our Influx partnership. So Influx is a great technology that we've partnered with and put onto our applications that actually allows our machines to adjust each and every cycle for variations that occur. So we'll talk a little bit about this in the sustainability piece as well. But as resin starts to change, you can't always guarantee that unless you're running a complete virgin material with great systems that have no issues, no environmental factors, you can't always guarantee what's going in is going to be the same. So there's constant tweaks on process parameters. And with this technology, we're actually able to adapt the machines in real time and make sure that you're getting adequate part weight and an adequate part out regardless of the input. All right, so moving on to delivery. And we really focus on delivery in several aspects, but really it's through performance and availability. So our tools are all about how do we help touch the customer on an automated level so that they're not having to continually push information into the system, but how do we figure out that performance, availability, and quality in real time, and then put tools in their hands so that they're not having to take the machine down on an unplanned level. So basically we have smart tools that are built in. We have a growing number of predictive components that we monitor so that when the machine is running, we know based upon your usage and based upon what the data is telling us when things are due. And we can tell you what that looks like from a holistic view and not just on a machine basis. So great, I've got a tool built into the control, but seeing how that works in correlation with the other 40 machines I have running, it can be very difficult. So we have tools built into this platform that allow our customers to say, okay, it's PM time on the 1st of the month. Let's knock these 10 things out that we know will probably come due during this month, or based upon the data, it says I need a new screw, I need a new screw tip, so that we're not having to take the machine down halfway through a run and causing us a late delivery. So these components, again, we're trying to shift from that preventative side to the predictive side, but it's growing, and we've got a lot of customers using those today and being more productive because of it. And then lastly, the biggest piece here that I'll mention and ties back to safety is how do we help customers as soon as issues occur? So there are certain times where you get new technology, you have new people, you have new employees, and I'm kind of headstrong. So I like to work through issues on my own. If a machine goes down, guess what? I'm going to go out there, I'm going to try to fix it. I'm going to try to get to the root cause. And sometimes it's not my area of expertise, and it can take a lot longer than it would if I had somebody trained that's dealt with the issue before. And we're really trying to build that into this platform. So as we see level 1 priority issues occur, or if machines have been down for an extended period of time, we have ties built into the system that will actually flag technical support. They'll flag our parts group depending on the need, so that we're reaching out to our customers before somebody has to get frustrated and call us. So always looking for ways to improve that and reduce the downtime and help customers improve delivery. The last 2 slides we get to here before the use cases talk through cost and sustainability. And this is where I get really excited, because I've gotten to basically live and breathe empowered in what we've done and how we've advanced the product over the last 3 years, and really since NPE 2018, when we debuted Empowered as a whole. So we went from a technology that helped customers, again, just categorize OEE, trying to help understand basics of molding and dig kind of surface level, to let's start putting more of our machinery-based knowledge into the system and helping customers reduce their downtime altogether. And this just really speaks to that. So as we've went, I think we hit year 2, and we said, let's start putting that to use and see if we can have predictive analytics that'll tell customers when screws, heater bands, pumps, feet, and screw tips fail. And that quickly turned into, great, we've got this analytic running. It'll tell a customer when we think it needs replaced, but the machine's still running. It's still making good parts. Why would I replace it? Why does that make sense? And this screen really speaks to what we've done and how we've advanced that as far as the screw analytic itself. So that, as many people know, a screw is a part that's not necessarily going to cause a critical failure. You can still make good quality parts. It might not necessarily increase your cycle time until it is really at the worn stage of, I can't get a good part out of the end. And that's typically when a customer orders it and replaces it. It can carry a long lead time. It can also carry a high cost depending on the manufacturer, or depending on the application and the manufacturer that you're ordering it from. So we not only have ways of telling you it's wearing, but we have ways of combining that with how much more energy it's using to make the same component because your screw is worn. So I'll show you in the next slide, when we talk about sustainability, a really cool example around measuring what the energy usage does as parts wear. So for example, as a screw wears, you're going to use more heating energy from the heater bands because you're not getting as efficient of energy transfer from the screw itself and melting the resin. So that is a less efficient method of heating, and in turn, it will increase the cost on a per part basis for making that same component. And from there, we can actually see, again, how it's affecting the cycle. So are you getting longer cycle times because it's running over your cooling? We can track all those things in real time, and instead of saying, Mr. Customer, your screw is at 70% efficiency, you might want to replace it, it's no, it's costing you $1,000 more per week to run with this screw, and it's a $6,000 screw. You probably want to go ahead and get one on order and replace it the next time you have the machine down. So not only are we digging into those component failures, we're looking at it from that economic standpoint. Again, that there's that term plastonomics and how it comes back to how we're providing these insights to our customers. And our last main topic here is the sustainability side. And I saw this was something that's, it wasn't quite the number one, but it's definitely important to this audience, and we can tell it's important to a growing number of people out in the industry. And really what we want to do is not just look at sustainable strategies, but again, relating back to plastonomics. I know I sound like a broken record, but relating back to the plastonomics and making economical, sustainable goals, not goals to just go out and say, I want to go out and save all of the environment. It's, I want to save the environment. I want to do it in a cost-effective manner to where I can keep my employees, I can keep my machines running and still improve the bottom line while being more beneficial to the environment and everybody around me. So things like Influx, like I mentioned at the beginning. So we've got a partnership with Influx, and using that technology, I talked about how it adapts the machine in real time. Well, that actually allows you to use a wider spec resin, more recycled and renewable materials with the same machine and the same componentry. So it's a key driver to our, I apologize, the slides are turning here. Key driver to our initiatives and what we're pushing forward to. And then the last piece I want to talk to you about on this slide, and probably one of the coolest things that we've had happen and really set us on this path, is here demonstrated in the bottom across that graphic. So this machine, the customer had it off and on throughout 2019 just due to various jobs and things they were working on, but you can see it came back in mid to late October, early November. And what you see there is a trend of energy and how that machine is operating. So in this particular example, you can see the heating energy starts to trend up very early into the run of this particular part. And all the way through to mid-January, mid to late January, you can see how much more energy it's using on average on a per cycle basis. So these are averages per cycle. just to make the same component. And what this turned out to be was actually 2 failed heater bands on the machine. So we have an algorithm that's running. We were telling the customer it was bad and they weren't replacing it until it got to a PM there in early February when they finally did that. And lo and behold, we do an energy study and say, yeah, it wasn't taking your machine down. You were getting good quality parts, but did you know that you were using $60 a day more in energy to make the same component? So you've got a $60 part, which it's funny that it's about the same math, right? It's a $60 component that you're going to change on the machine to gain $60 more per day in energy savings, and really at the end of the day make that part more cost effective for you to make, more cost effective for your customer, and really allow you to be more competitive on your bid. All right, so with that, before we jump into the use cases, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lacey for another poll question.
Yes, we're hopping into our second poll here. Milacron produces customized equipment and solutions for many major end markets of the plastics industry. So we're curious just about our audience, what market segment, if you're producing parts, what market segment are you producing parts or tooling for? So please, again, click on your selection. We have medical, electronics, consumer, automotive, or if you fall in some other category, or maybe you service multiple market segments, please click the multiple or other. And we appreciate your selections. I'll give it just another quick moment as I feel like people are still clicking through here. Alrighty. And let's take a look at the results. Looks like 68% of our audience is consumer. We've got quite a bit of medical and multiple or other, Eddie.
Great, that's very helpful. Again, we appreciate the feedback on the poll questions, and I think that's going to help me discuss and talk about the 2 use cases we've got coming up here, but then also about how these are applicable in other environments and other things that we've done with them. So our first use case that we want to go through is something we've done with a medical customer of ours. So we found that they were getting quality issues that were not getting captured completely by their vision system actually at the end of the line. And it was something they could very clearly find. There was not a big scare for things escaping, but at the end of the day, it was very frustrating that they've got all these expensive systems. The machine is doing what it's supposed to be doing, and yet at the other side, they're still having to spend all this time sorting out potential bad parts. So what we did is we set up a study with them to collect data, track when these issues were occurring. And first, we were actually able to see through multivariate analysis when certain things were happening in that machine. There were 4 or 5 variables that would tell us when they acted in a certain way, this quality defect was going to occur. So we're working on, and I can talk to the upstream of that and how we're going to alleviate that altogether. But in the interim, until we can get to that point, we worked with their system and their team to develop a diverter system. So every time that we saw this pattern occur in the machine, we're actually able to divert these parts before they ever even reach the vision system or the outside when the components are coming out and dropping into their bin. So this is a good example of the system helping them have less touches on the machine, so being safer by being at the machine less, having less operational touches. From the quality side, being able to show them as soon as these deviations start to occur. So it's not something where we're necessarily adapting the machine today or fixing the resin so that it's not happening as much, but we're able to show them as soon as it happens so that they can get out to the machine and maybe only make a few bottles with this bad process and get it adjusted versus having maybe 50 to 100 of those come out. We're also helping improve their delivery by making sure that they don't have to touch the parts as much on the other side. You're being able to put these more effectively onto the finished goods section. And then last, of course, through the labor savings by not having to have somebody out there as much on the quality. They still do plenty of quality checks, but this did reduce the need for as many secondary checks or as often on the secondary checks. And this is completely applicable, and we're doing other things for other market segments as well. So customers and some of the other ones that were mentioned, we do have the ability to take the things we've done here and even in certain custom molders, we've gotten to the point where we're monitoring these processes for them using those SPC controls and doing things very similarly. So not just detecting when the machines shift, but also helping them detect when parts and components are shifting because of changes to the process. So it's a very tough thing to have training for maybe 20 or more process technicians if you have a large facility, and this really can highlight those deficiencies. So not only are you seeing the machine where it's escaping quality, but also with the users themselves. All right, and for our last use case here, this one focuses on the automotive segment. And with this, we had a customer, and I think this is why it's so applicable to everyone, is we had a customer that really has a great system at tracking and monitoring their downtime. They do a really good job at trying to phase out all the reasons why their people take the machines down, all the reasons why they can affect or put a cause to and affect the reason why it's going out of cycle or they're not making as many parts. So we worked with them to say there's still a large amount of downtime, and having your knowledge and your machinery knowledge, can you help us quantify these other large areas and put things in place to alleviate those? So we focused on connecting them, analyzing what the machines were doing, focusing on critical components that were taking the machines down based off of operational uses or just common failure items that fail or wear on machines. And we actually developed a system that said, here's 5 key components that'll cut your downtime by 75%. And that's really what we've been doing with them, which is on the first of every month, let's use these tools to look at things like bad heater bands, things that are affecting our cycle or will impact our cycle during our next run, and let's go ahead and get those changed. So this is the one we mentioned with the heater band as well. So this customer is, sorry about that. This customer is gaining major benefits in several areas because of this study. So not only are we, avoiding having less unplanned downtime for that customer because of these studies, but as a result of all the things that we're doing, they're also getting a better quality out of the other side because we were studying as these things change, how is the machine adapting? How are people adapting the machine? And we're really helping them improve part quality through less changes and more changing the components when they need it instead of trying to process around them. Again, reducing their unplanned downtime and improving their delivery and how they can operate their machines through the smart maintenance programs. As we showed you in the example, we have several examples running for this customer by lowering cost and making them more sustainable by focusing on components when they need replaced based on their specific needs, as well as helping conserve energy and do things for the environment by looking at it from that perspective. All right, so with that, I just again want to say thank you for everyone's attention, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Nicole and Lacey for our live Q&A session.
All right, thanks Eddie, thanks Lacey, great job. Next on our agenda is the Q&A session like Eddie mentioned. So using the knowledgeable and innovative information they presented today, I encourage you to identify what questions you have. Please take a moment to share with us. And if you're not sure where to do that, follow the blue arrow showing where to find the text box on your control panel. The Milacron team will be back soon, so type it and send us a question or two. While you're doing that, if you are looking for more information on the material today for use outside of today's webinar, please be sure to go to the handouts section and click on the link to open the PDF before you exit today. So I'll give you guys some time to enter your questions in that you have. We'll answer those live, whatever comes in today. And now with that said, and the time we have left, we'll invite Lacey and Eddie and Dan will be there as well to help us answer those questions in the Q&A session.
Hi, Eddie, it looks like we have a first question, and Dan, you might want to chime in here after Eddie. Our first question is, how secure is the data collected from Empowered or the access to the dashboards?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So user access is controlled by the customer, and we have, and I won't steal all of Dan's thunder here, but user access is controlled by the customer. So I'll unpack that in several layers, and that the customer controls Milacron access, they control their own unique access, and not only just the access of the users, but the access to each individual piece of the platform. So our data is very secure from the server standpoint, but it's also secure from the device all the way up through our platform. So I'm not sure if people on this call are familiar with DECRA, and I encourage you to download our brochure and read a little more about that as well. But DECRA is the highest level of certification you can get currently for connected systems. And ISO 27001 is the actual certification number. But this certification actually is on our platform from device all the way up to the platform itself. So we do penetration tests on our own servers. And again, this is why we invited Dan Lilback onto the call, because EI3 is our partner. We're very open about that. And the reason we chose them is for their data security and 20 years of industry knowledge.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie, and agree with Eddie on everything he said there. We manage our data security at a high level. We have a chief security officer that is monitoring our data and our performance on a regular basis. And as Eddie said, we're ISO 27001 certified from the component level all the way to the data science level on the back end, producing those amazing results for Milacron. So we of course could go into a whole discussion of IT components and security, but we'll save that for another day. So appreciate the question.
Certainly. Okay, and Eddie, we have another one coming in from Brian. Can this feature be an add-on for existing Milacron presses?
Absolutely. Yeah, everything we talked about today, we have tried to take back as far as possible. And it really does depend on the control and the capabilities of the control. But with our Milacron machinery, we get about the early 2000 timeframe all the way up to today. And it does get better with of course, the newer the control, the better. But we even have devices that we can add to older machines where we can make up for the loss of capability with the newer controls.
Perfect. We have another question from Ada. She's located in San Luis. I'm sorry. She just bought a Quantum 315 ton. How can you assure the safety of the mold, and how can the machine help recollecting the data for being more conscious of the status of the mold?
Yeah, great questions. So we actually do have a partnership. So I'm sure most of you out there in this world in the industry have heard of Mold Masters and our partnership with that company. So we have a lot of experience on our team that helps us build into this platform how we can more actively look at molds and make sure that we're keeping machine information based upon that as well. So I'm going to answer that in kind of several ways. First is that we can track machine parameters to make sure that things are staying within scope, staying within spec, so that the set points that are required, so you're not going over pressures that the mold can sustain, you're not having certain alarms that would indicate that the mold closed position was incorrect. But we also have ways to not only track usage on the machine, but we can automatically track when molds are loaded into machines through either a device or through mold file loading and storage, so that we can track usage across those. So our platform can help track the machine, but it can also help track even maintenance records on molds and how those are maintained.
Good question. We also have one from Richard. He is in the UK. Is this available globally?
Yes, it is available globally. And the best part about that is the first question leads into this very well. So one of the other reasons that we partnered with EI3 is that we're a machine provider. We're not experts on data. We're not experts on data collection. We're experts on taking something and making meaningful actions out of it. EI3, on the other hand, is somebody that's been around for 20 years. They've got data locations so that we can comply by all GDPR laws, even in China, where we're into China, into India, into South America, into Africa. So we, with our partnership with EI3, can put this solution anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's great, Eddie. And I'll just add to that we're connected in over 115 different countries around the world. So quite a global presence there.
Okay. We have another question from Raymond. When will the technicians be traveling to my facility to evaluate the various machines to interface with that so you can develop a quote for me? I will be working on a budget next week, and this has been an open issue for a number of months now.
So Ray, yeah, I think we'll get back to you. I'm not sure that this is the platform to answer that question completely, but we will absolutely get back to you soon. And I'll make a note here to give you a call this afternoon.
Perfect. All right, I think we have time for one more question. Let me look through the list here. Okay. We have one. How is the smart maintenance program different from others on the market?
The smart maintenance plan is different in that we're going to continually advance it to make sure that it's not based off of just usage, right? So a lot of the smart maintenance tools out there today, they do calculate cycles. They do a lot to tell you that the machine is this, you're using it at this frequency, so these are when things are due. What we're building into and what we're continually advancing is you don't need to check the screw every 6 months or every however much throughput happens. It's the machine data is telling us this is when you need to check it, or same with the screw tip. So one of the great studies we've had out in the past few months is we've got a partner that we're adding a device to every one of their machines so that we can tell them when they need to replace their screw and screw tip, instead of taking it down every 3 to 6 months, depending on their application, to measure it, check wear. Instead, we from day one, month one, we actually showed them where they have worn screw tips, and actually have taken those out and replaced them. So we're gaining that trust through the system and putting the analytics behind it so that eventually it's hopefully nothing is usage based. It's all based off of data and telling us when the machine actually needs the components as opposed to when we think it needs it.
Great question. All right, so we're now wrapping up the Q&A portion of the webinar. Again, thank you for everybody joining. We sincerely appreciate you all being here. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact Eddie. His email is right there, edward_jump@milacron.com, or you can also search for Edward Jump on LinkedIn. And right now, I'd like to pass things back to Plastek. Nicole?
Great, those are awesome questions, and thank you, Eddie and Dan, for taking the time to answer those in great detail. This completes our webinar for today, and from all of us here, we want to thank you for attending and actively participating in today's webinar, which would be, again, the Empowered Applications event. As you exit today, you will see a brief survey, and we appreciate your time, feedback, and we look forward to bringing you more great topics in the Plastek Academy. See what topics are next in our series by visiting plastekgroup.com. And until next time, thank you and have a great day.